Welcome back to the Five Guys podcast. This is episode 171. This is a part 2 episode. So if you haven't catched the first part, definitely recommend going back to episode 170, checking that out. With that being said, let's get into it.
Oftentimes when change happens, people try to focus on what is quantifiable. Like, let me grab something solid. That way I can feel secure. I think that many people, there's three misunderstandings. They have three huge misunderstandings about change. And number one is that we think that change should feel clear before it happens. When in reality, clarity comes after we make a move. So I think a lot of people, say you're on a bridge, suspension bridge, and earthquake starts happening and that thing starts rocking. What are most people going to do? They're going to stop and they're just going to hold themselves and hope that this is going to go away. But what if it doesn't stop? What if this earthquake is just going to be perpetual? The only way to get it to stop, this bridge to continue to stop moving, is to get the hell off the bridge. It's to take one step at a time, moving forward. I don't know if you've ever been on one of those bridges, like at Disneyland or at a park, right? The little suspension one. And let's say there's two kids on each side of the bridge and they're just rocking the heck out of it. And you're in the center and you're just taking it. You could say I'm not going to move until they're done. But what if these kids are tenacious and they're just going to sit? They'll sit there all day. They don't care. The only way to stop it is to move forward. Waiting for certainty, waiting for it to stop is what keeps people stuck. And that's the biggest thing that I've seen when my coaching and working with people is they're waiting for the perfect plan to start. I can't get started until I know everything that's going to happen. And if that's the case, you're never going to move forward. We think change should feel clear before it happens, but it never will. It can't. That's the nature of change.
Scary. Very scary sometimes.
Number two, we think discomfort means danger. I think we feel that when we feel discomfort, we feel that change, we feel like, oh man, I don't feel good about this. That equals that we made the wrong decision. It'd be the same thing if you go into the gym, right? I'm going to go and I'm just going to do some squats. I'm going to try to hit a new PR. Well, if you're going to go for a new PR, if you're going to do really anything in the gym that is worth most things, you're going to feel a little bit of discomfort. It doesn't always feel great. Eventually you can learn to love that feeling. But at first it doesn't feel great to do most workouts. But does that mean you're making the wrong decision? That it's uncomfortable? No, it means that you're growing. It means that you're getting better. Growth often feels destabilizing before it feels stabilizing. Kind of think of you ever seen somebody, I think of these times where I grew up, my dad was a Marine, I grew up near Camp Pendleton. I watched these Marines, they'd go out and they would train all day long, running obstacles, blah, blah, blah. And you'd see them afterwards and they'd I remember thinking during football, you come off the field and you're your legs are wobbly and you're just oh my God, I can barely even move. I remember trying to get down to the toilet was excruciating just to sit down. It was so bad after working out, right? That growth, getting better, getting stronger, it's destabilizing at first as your body is rebuilding, as you're getting to become the next version of yourself. But then eventually you become even more stable than you were at the beginning through that growth. We think that discomfort means danger. We think that discomfort means the wrong decision, when in truth, discomfort is the fee of playing the game to get better.
Interesting. I think a lot of people view that discomfort as a roadblock, but in actuality, it's the entry fee. It's the participation medal. It's part of it. There's no way to get around it, right, Chris?
If you figure it out, you let me know. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I guess same thing with when you work out, you just have to change your relationship to it. When I work out and I feel that little bit of a pump or a little bit of soreness, oh cool, this is gonna hurt a little bit tomorrow. When you feel sore, the next day you're all right, I did something. Yeah. Maybe it's the same thing. You just have to change your relationship to it. This is a good thing. This means that I'm getting better. And number three, and I think this is the biggest one, and just so you know, we went out of line in our notes. So just pretend the conversation we had at the beginning was the conversation we're having now. We try to control the outcome instead of the principles. the outcomes are fragile. We actually don't have much control over the outcome. You can go and you can do your best, you can train, and you can still lose. Somebody else could just show up and be better. But your principles, those principles, they're portable. They change. They are the things that can stay consistent in most parts of life. Most people, they don't struggle with change. What they struggle with is the loss of identity that comes with change. So when you think about that, think about the conversation we had here, 20, 30 minutes ago about, what is that identity that stays consistent during these moments of change? Because that identity is the thing that's going to allow you to continue to move forward through this change, knowing that what's going to come out on the other side is even better. Even though right now it freaking sucks. And if you're listening, you're like, yeah, man, this is really hard. I am right there with you.
Yeah.
Like you're not alone in this. I think that a lot of people are in it and they just don't want to talk about it. They want to put on the facade of I'm great, everything's going great. I get it. I want to too. But if we all pretend to do that, no one ever feels seen. No one ever feels like, oh, it's okay. I'm not alone in this because you're not.
It's definitely a sad place where you don't chase that fear anymore, and you're just like, you know what, I'm done. This is where I'm just gonna stay. I think that's I think that's a very sad life to live. And I don't think it's necessarily where it's like, I've made a decision to do this and just stay here. I think it's a decision that you let happen by not paying attention and not pushing yourself. And I think it's probably something that happens multiple times in a lifetime. I know for myself, that's where I feel like I'm at right now, where I feel like my ambitions have been amputated and I'd let fear drive the ship too much and comfort driving the ship too much. And while there are guardrails, right? But I wouldn't say there's defined principles that embody my spirit. I think it's I don't remember exactly the podcast, but I remember the moment at least where it's like, damn, I read all the books I should have read. And I developed the personality that I developed the mindset. I developed the body. I developed everything that I needed to be successful. And I started being successful. And then it fell off. It stopped. It got dull. And it was like, damn, I gotta do this again. Like I gotta go back to the fire and really put myself back in the fire. Remember, my mom loves telling the story. My mom will you met my mom, but she loves telling the story. And it was when I was a child, and she's like, you have to be good because God's always watching. I was like, okay, well, when can I be bad? She's like, ever. And as a kid, I'm like, I have to be good all the time. And she's like, yes, you have to be good all the time. And it's that cycle of you have to upkeep things. Nothing stays one thing forever. And I so wish if I got a six pack now, it's like, oh, I just keep it forever. It's like, no, these things take work. These things take time. And it's so important that when we do change, that we don't let that victory fall to the wayside and we continue to maintain it and improve it and push ourselves to that next level to find the next thing that we can kind of change and improve in our lives. But man, that sucks that I have to go back into the freaking fire and do this crap again. But
Yeah, but remember, you've done it once, so you have scoreboard. Like, look at the scoreboard. Like, I've done it once,
yeah,
and now it's going to make it easier.
yeah, yeah. And the more you walk the road, the more familiar the road becomes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think also you need to come to the realization. I think we all do is that like the nature of reality is change. Like it's always constant change, and that's hard for us as humans because we want consistency. But just because you want something, that doesn't make it true. It doesn't
Yeah.
make it like, okay, like I want this really, really bad, therefore I should have it.
Yeah.
Like all things are constantly in flux. Like the only constant is change. I
And
want to go and talk a little bit about money during these changes and give you some practical and calm, grounded advice. Because, obviously we are the FI guys. So I think we should talk a little bit about money because what I've seen a lot and what I've been even seen in myself here recently is people begin to panic. Or when panic shows up, money becomes the thing that people like grab onto. That becomes the bridge. That becomes the lifelines. That becomes the one thing that's solid. It's like, all right, if my money's okay, then I'm okay. Or like, I need to get care. I need to get this figured out. And it's so funny that when things are fine, I have my job and I'm good and all these stuff. Hey, can we talk about your money? Like, we should really focus on this for when things change. Like, no, it's okay. Nothing's ever going to change. It's going to be fine. I don't need to worry about my retirement or emergency funds or any of that stuff. And the moment something goes wrong, health issue, loss of a job, especially, car accident, something like that. Now it's like, oh my God, like we need to get everything fixed right now. And if you're trying to fix everything at once, especially when you have this big life change happening, it's just too much. So I really want us to be able to have some rules around this because sometimes when changes come, we need to have some money rules to keep us from making changes that we look back on like, why did I do that? There's entire businesses that are wrapped up around, hey, like we're going to like there are financial advisors out there who like basically just partner with funeral homes. And like the moment the funeral, like someone dies, like I'm ready. I'm like right there because a big change happened. Here I am. Let's change everything. There's so many things like that. Referrals through insurance companies. Hey, this person's got in a car crash. Time to give them a call and say, hey, are your finances okay? Like let's do it right now. So rule number one is I want us to be able to preserve optionality. I know that a lot of people say that cash is trash. You shouldn't hold that much money, but cash equals flexibility in these moments. And yes, maybe sometimes it's not the optimal decision to have cash rather than investments, but in moments of change, that cash is the thing that gives you fewer irreversible decisions. It gives you the ability to sit there and think. So cash is flexibility. It's not failure. It shows you that, oh, it's okay. I have some time. I have time to sit here and think. I don't have to do X, Y, or Z. How many of us, maybe we lose a job, you find out you're getting laid off and you just go to Indeed, you go to LinkedIn, you go to wherever, you just start freaking sending resumes anywhere you possibly can, right? 100 a day, whatever it is. I'll just send it. And then eventually you get this job, right? And like you meet with the people, you're like, I don't know about these people. They seem kind of sketchy. But I can say I've talked to the other employees and they're like, yeah, bro, maybe don't do it. But I really need this job. Like without this job, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. So you take the job. And 2 months, 3 months, 4 months later, you're like, damn it, I regret the hell out of ever being here. And now take that and move it to any other thing that could happen or things in life that we make these decisions that we can't get ourselves out of. We've talked a lot of time, you and I, about insurance salespeople that I used to know that would be like, hey, like this person's going through this upheaval. Time to sell them an annuity, like time to sell them this thing that you literally can't get out of because right now they're afraid of whatever. Oh man, like grandma just died or this person just passed away or I just got in a car crash. Like I need some safety and security in my life. Okay, cool. Let's put you in this thing that costs a lot of money and that you can't get out of for the next 10 years, but at least it has this in it. Like there are businesses built just around this one thing, around when someone is going through change, that we can get them right there and then. And money allows you a little bit of cash, a little bit of reserves, a little bit of an emergency fund, a little bit of whatever, gives you the ability to not make irreversible decisions, or at least make far fewer irreversible decisions. It gives you a little bit of time to breathe. Because most people, when they're getting choked, they freak the hell out. It takes years to be able to be like, it's okay. It's okay.
it's interesting. I never saw it as that. I like that. So rule number one is preserve optionality. We love options here at the Pie Guys. What's
Mhm.
rule number two, Chris?
Number two, it's something that's also very important to the Fi Guys. It's simplify aggressively. Fewer accounts, fewer decisions, fewer moving parts makes the decision easier. I've met too many people who have these crazy complex systems when it comes to their money, when it comes to their life. Like, oh, I do this, then this, then this, then this. It's like, man, I just go back to physics. I just think about entropy. Like, the more complex the system, the faster it's going to fail. Like, the more parts that are going to try to get back to chaos. Like, chaos might be the natural order of things. And us as humans, our goal is to try to bring control to the chaos, but chaos wants to reign. So we're constantly in this battle. But if we're able to make our systems easier, to simplify them aggressively, then it makes for far fewer things. And then, do you have any questions on that before we get to rule number three?
Oh yeah, let's go to rule number three.
Cool. And then rule number three is I want you to shorten your planning horizon. I know that that might sound crazy, especially coming from someone who's talking all about finance all the time, or it's like, hey, we're focusing on the next 20, 30, 40 years. But in these moments of change, maybe we just need to focus on the next 30 to 90 days. The long-term plan still remains intact. We're not going to blow that up. But sometimes the tactics need to be adjusted. I can't tell you the amount of people I've met who are like, oh man, like I just lost my job, but I still have to continue to contribute to my IRA. Like that's part of my long-term plan. It's like, I get that. I get that. I do. I definitely do. And I love that that's your thought process. But just because we made that plan when things were different, now that things have changed again, we need to be able to change the plan. Like that's what the plan is there for. It's to be able to be changed. It wasn't to be this thing from God. It wasn't written in stone. Like there's no commandments, there's no nothing. Like we can change this. You made it as a human, you can change it as a human. And that's okay. To focus on just a little bit of breathing room, focus on the next little bit of time. How am I going to get through these next time? And in the same note, you don't blow up the long-term plan. That still stays intact. You just adjust around it. Because I think it's very hard for us. Again, we're all or nothing creatures. It's either like I live for today or I live for tomorrow. And you have to live for both. We don't need a perfect plan. What most people need in these moments, what I need, what all of us need is just what is my next stable step? Just like if I'm on that suspension bridge, how do I take one step forward? Then after that, I'll deal with the next step.
You know, that reminds me of, crazy enough, I'm building this bench still. I'm still building this bench, right? And this is what I love about trying new things. One, it's gonna frustrate you. It's gonna be 3 times more expensive and 5 times longer it's gonna take a long time. Um, but in regards to your point, you don't need a perfect plan, you just need the next stable step. What I found myself doing is I have to have all the information and the building plans before I start when I don't know anything about building. I don't know anything about it. Um, and I'm like, well, okay, how am I gonna have the back of the seat? At what angle is it gonna be cut? How is it gonna be stabilized? And how is it? And it's like, okay, like what you're saying. I mean, rather than thinking 10 steps ahead, let's just let's just take that next step. What's the next thing I can do? What's the next best thing I can do? And then you go there and you're like, okay, cool. That wasn't that hard. Why did I get stuck? It's like, well, yeah, because you're dealing with the problem on step number 7 when you're on step number 2. You're not there yet. You don't understand that. You can't visualize that. And I think this quote that you have, I mean, you don't need a perfect plan. You need the next stable step is so powerful. I think it's more powerful than you might even think, Chris. For someone who oftentimes gets stuck in the big picture and forgets about, it's like, well, let's just take the next step. How about we just take the next step and the next step and the next step? And then you look up and you're like, hey, the bench is built, right? This is great. The money is funded. Everything is great. Everything is Everything is great for right now. I love that. I love that quote. I'm
And
tattoo it on my arm and say it every day. I,
I
I
think
love
that's
that.
something that's important for that when it comes to that next stable step. It's like most things that you do in life are reversible. They can be changed. There are very few things in life that are irreversible. So when you come to those moments that are like, if I do this, it's irreversible. Like I'm done. It's it. Like I have one decision. Again, there aren't very many things like that. Like most things you can get out, and maybe you also have to get out with like a huge penalty, like you have to weigh that. Those are the kind of decisions that we want to sit there and really think about those.
Yeah.
But on decisions that we remain flexible, we continue to have optionality. We're just making a choice. You can always open up a door, try something, look through and be like, I don't want to be in here, and close that door. That's okay to do. And I'm going to choose a different door. We are in a life where we have infinite pathways in front of us, infinite doorways, infinite whatever, that you have the ability to walk through and see, do I want to go into this? There are very few places that you walk through to a room and the door shuts behind you and is like gone. There are some things, and those are the things where you have to be very careful. Am I going to walk through this door? One thing that I really want to bring up, and this is again one of the most important things here at the Five Guys, we talk so much about mindset, mindset before money, mindset before everything. I really want to explore this with you, Dominic, for our listeners and for myself, and that's breaking rumination. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but I want to give us some mental tools to get out of that funk that so many, including myself, find ourselves in. I'm so stupid. I'm all this and blah, blah, blah. Because I think that overthinking, especially during times of change, it's our brain's way of trying to protect you. It's just using the wrong tools. How many of us, when we're going through these moments of transition, we lay up in bed, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, thinking, oh, what if I do this? If I do this, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? Now it's 6 a.m., we haven't gotten any sleep. And we're sitting there again, like now I have to go try and do something and figure it all out. But now I just feel terrible. So I want to give us some tools that we can use in order to protect us from ourselves. Because our brain's trying to, they think like it's going through and thinking like, if I can figure this out, if I can control all the variables, then I can get us out of this. But in reality, you control none of the variables. The only variable you control is how you choose to show up to whatever is presented in front of you. It's almost like, it'd be like, let's do it like this. I'm not going to start to play Tetris, this game of Tetris, until I know every single piece that's going to come in the order that it's going to come in. You would never turn on the Tetris game. Like you'll maybe, if you're playing Tetris with like the easier version, you have like 4, you know what the next 4 are going to be. But the real version of Tetris is you don't know what's coming at all. So in reality, like you can't go through life and be like, all right, I've set up this perfect thing. It looks great. All I need is that one line to come in. And then the square comes in. You're like, God damn it. Like I said the line, like I'm F this game, I'm done. No, okay, I have the square. I'm going to work with the square right now and wait till I get the line. That's the same thing we need to do in life. And our brain is going through trying to figure out, all right, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this piece. Then I'm going to get this piece. Then I'm going to get this piece. I'm going to get this piece. That's the same way of you trying to play Tetris, saying like, if I don't get this next piece, then it's screwed. Like it doesn't work out at all. Your brain only can control so much. So something that I want you to be able to do is I want people to be able to name the fear out loud. What is the underlying fear that your brain is trying to fix? And just name it. Because I think most people, when they really think about it, they don't even know why they're afraid. They just feel this knot in their stomach, in their chest, wherever that knot is for you. And they're just afraid of it. And there's this constant feeling of just like trepidation or concern. But if you can't name it, then you can't really begin to figure out, how do I get past it? You ever found that for you in your life, Dom?
Yeah. 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 Let me cut you off real quick. Yeah. Um, yeah. You're talking to preaching to the choir right now. um, I never, I said this in the podcast, I think last year, this famous Winston Churchill quote, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. I never understood that. I never got it. I was like, what is even what are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. It's like a level, and you know, in actuality, it was like, you know, I'm a level 10 thinker, and that's like a level like 15 thought, right? It's like I didn't get it. I don't understand. What are you talking about? And as I've been on my own more, and I've felt fear a lot more, um, I really start to understand what that quote really means. You only have to conquer that fear of the fear and be okay with being afraid and understand that there's a big difference between fear and danger to really start moving along at a good pace. But yeah, it's something that I don't want to say I'm constantly battling with, but it's it's lurking. It's like it's around a corner. I don't know what corner, but it's around a corner and it has like a knife or something in my imagination. When in actuality, it's just like a short little like it's a nothing, right? It's what I create it. Fear is what you make of it. And oftentimes we make it a lot bigger and scarier of a monster than it really is. And I think that's one of the things that's so important, that we really decide that this is our life. We can control, and that we're not going to be controlled by fear, and make a stand. And my mom always said that when you run towards fear, fear will run away. And I always loved that quote. And that's the one that kind of sticks with me. But yeah, Chris, I'm human. Yes, I've felt that fear in my gut, that knot, and I've let it make decisions for me when it wasn't the decision maker in my world. And I have failed at that many times. And that's something that I can continue to battle with, right?
Maybe
So
another
if you have,
tool that might
yeah,
be able to be added to the arsenal is, I think so many of us, we think like, I need to eliminate fear. Like fear is the enemy, that fear is the mind killer. Fear is the thing that's stopping me from doing things. There was a war horse, and I think this was during World War One or World War Two. And this horse was like, I'm guessing World War Two actually, since it's a war horse. That was like just known for its bravery. Like, doesn't matter, mortars might be going off, shots being fired, and this horse, like horses naturally are extremely skittish. Like they are prey animals, so they're very scared of everything. So being able to train a horse to be able to run into a scary situation is means like that, man, that horse must be crazy brave. That horse must not fear anything. So I remember they did a study on this horse. So like, hey, like let's check its cortisol responses. You know, cortisol is the stress hormone. And they noticed that this horse has the exact same cortisol response as all the other horses. So the horse felt the same amount of fear as all the other horses. So I think too many of us, we think that true bravery, true courage is not having fear at all. But in reality, what we found through looking at this horse as an example is that bravery or courage has nothing to do with how much fear you're having. It doesn't have anything to do with not having fear. It has to do with having fear and choosing to move forward in spite of it. Danger is real. And I think that we say like fear isn't real, it's in the mind. And yes, that's true. But just because something isn't real, like you can't tangibly touch it, it doesn't mean that it's real. Like the thoughts that you're having right now, as you listen to this, they don't have a place or a space that you can tangibly touch, but they're still real. You know, if you have a thought about, you know, somebody once thought of a Batman, they once thought of Superman, and they put that thought into a tangible place in the world, and that became reality. And if you want to even go deeper on that, like all thought, all matter is just made up of electrical impulses and energy. Like for you to have a thought, that means that there is an energy source somewhere in your brain of two synapses touching that created something. Therefore, that fear is a real thing. It is tangible. There is a light source or an energy source that was created in your brain that created that fear. Therefore, it is real. And you can choose to move forward in spite of it. That fear does not need to stop you. Does that make sense?
it does. Yeah, it does. I know you saw I clipped that. I know you saw I saw you, like, look down to the left. Yeah, I clipped it. I was like, "Oh, man, I want that clip. I want that clip. I need that clip." Um, no, I think it's interesting that, in order to be brave, there has to be fear. In order to be courageous, there has to be something that scares you. It's not courageous of me to go to the fridge and get a snack. It's like, no, it's not how
Yeah.
that works.
Think of it like this, right? Like if you're an MMA fighter, you've been fighting MMA your entire life.
Yep.
For someone to go and like, if they see a bar fight and like someone who doesn't know have any training at all, or they see like domestic abuse happening, and they have zero training at all, and they're like, I'm going to step in and protect this other person. That is bravery. But if there's somebody who has been training their entire life and they know 100%, like I can murder this person, and then they choose to step in and fight. Maybe if they see domestic violence is probably not the perfect example for this one. Let's just say that, hey, I'm about to get in a fight with somebody for whatever the reason is. If you're the person who has never been in a fight before and you just choose to get into that fight with somebody, that is bravery. That is fear, and you overcame fear. Maybe bravery in the wrong direction, but still bravery or still courage to try to fight somebody. But if you're someone who's been training for 20, 30 years and you know that you can kill anybody on the street, it is not brave to go and get yourself into a fight with someone.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's the choice. Like you need to have like you can't be brave without fear. The next tool that I want to introduce for breaking rumination is we need to separate facts from stories. We as human beings, the one thing, like one of the few things that makes us very, very special in the animal kingdom is that we have the ability to tell stories and to believe our stories as if they are reality. How many of us are stuck in stories about what our life is, about who we are as people, based off stories that we were told about who we were as kids, about stories about our family or our culture or our grandparents or our great grandparents. How many of us are stuck in stories when change happens that I'm a failure, that this is all going to go wrong, that this is going to keep on getting worse and worse and worse, and we're not sticking to the facts. The facts is, hey, I got in a car crash. Hey, I broke my leg. Hey, I lost my job. But the story that we tell ourselves is that I'm a failure, that I did this, that I'm dumb, that in 5 months I'm going to be on the streets. And then after that, I'll be dead. And then my wife will leave me. And then my kids will leave me. And all of these things. And we tell ourselves these terrible stories to get ourselves away from it. But in reality, we can't be fighting battles that aren't happening yet. It's like if you're going to go to your therapist's office and start talking to your therapist about some future problem that hasn't happened yet. Most therapists will be like, hey, I'm not going to sit here. We're not going to ruminate on this problem that hasn't happened yet. Most of our energy is directed at the 95% of things that are never going to happen, rather than focusing on the 5% of things that are going to happen or the 1% of things that are actually happening that we actually can deal with. So maybe you can ask yourself when you're getting stuck in these stories and you finally start to focus on the facts is what's one decision I can make to keep future doors open right now? Focus on those facts.
It's almost
Clarity.
like,
Good.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say that, um, it seems that like clarity isn't something you think your way into. It's something that you have to like go into. You have to move towards. You have to act towards that and really start to make that decision, that choice to go into. And I think oftentimes we believe that, if I have a problem, I can think my way out of it. When in actuality, it's like thinking is great. We love thinking, right? But thinking isn't really an action. It's like in a weird middle state between action and inaction. It's like, yeah, you are doing something, but you're not doing anything. And, if I break my leg and I sit here and I think about how I can heal my leg, by the time I'm done thinking, my leg is still broken. Like nothing has changed. So I think oftentimes we substitute thinking for solutions when in actuality it's just the birthplace of solutions. But you don't get anywhere without moving forward. So you have to continue to move forward and get through it and get over the overthinking aspect of it. Because I remember one time, this was in college. I think I had just broken up with this girl, and like it consumed my mind. And I literally had to get to a point where I was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm just not gonna. I'm not. If it didn't happen, if it's not gonna happen, I'm not even gonna think about it. I'm imagining scenarios that it's just my imagination's running wild in a negative area. I'm not gonna have any part of that. And I literally told myself, I was like, anytime you start to imagine stuff that isn't real or that it like causes you stress, we're gonna say no. And for that, literally that whole month, I said no, no, no. And I stopped. I ended up just stopping, which was really helpful for me. But it's important. I think it is important to think, but not too much.
Yeah. I think that's really important. That's something like for me, I live a lot in my head. Like majority of my place is lived in my head in thoughts and philosophy and all this stuff. But something that I need to hear, and I think you said it beautifully. I'm just going to sum it up one more time. But clarity is not something that you can think your way into. It's only something you can act your way into. The action of actually doing.
Yeah.
So as we get to our action steps, the reason we're doing this is because I'm personally in a season right now where a lot feels uncertain. And what I keep coming back to is that maybe the goal isn't to feel calm, isn't to feel like everything is okay. It's to be, it's to continue to act in alignment with my principles and to act in alignment with my values and to act in alignment with what it is that I want from my life, even as the identities continue to shift, as everything continues to feel unstable. It gives me a little bit of grounding to know that, like, hey, these things are consistent. So I want that our listeners to have the same things because I couldn't imagine going through this, everything that I'm going through, with at least having like that thing, that one thing to hold on to through all of this stuff. So, our action step to our listeners. I have a few for you because I think this one's really important. And this is a quite a long 2-part podcast. Number one, I want you to write down 3 principles, 3 values that guide your decisions. So we talked for about 20, 30 minutes through a few different ways of doing that. You know, maybe if 3 is too big, just start with 1. What's one value that I can start to bring to my life that I can say, like, this is a value of mine? And if you need to, I don't know, grab a list of different values and start going through them. But like really choose something that is to you and be able to have a story as to why that is important to you. Number 2, I want you to identify one financial move that increases your flexibility today. Regardless if you're in a state of flux or you're in stability, giving you something that gives you flexibility for when times come for when change happens and you need to move, doing that now is going to make it much easier. And then the final thing is I want you to reduce one uncertainty source of complexity this week. Simplify your systems as much as you possibly can. Progress is uncertain, but it gets quieter. Or maybe I should say this. Progress in uncertain seasons, feeling like I'm making progress and getting better, it feels quiet. It feels like I'm not doing anything, but it compounds. It's the same thing when we're on financial independence and we finally figure out our systems and we're just doing it for the next 10, 20, whatever many years. And we're just like, I'm not making any progress. But that compounding is very, very slow. And eventually it gets us to where we want to be. Change
I love
isn't the
that.
thing that, oh, good.
No, I was gonna say I love that. It reminded me of something that you used to tell me is that, everything counts. Whether you do something positive, whether you do something negative, it all counts towards the person that you are becoming. And I love that. Same way that progress, like you said, is uncertain. Um, it compounds. It even in the dark, even in the silence, when you think, man, like nothing is going right. It's like, well, hey, man, you survived another day. That compounds. That you gave it your best, or maybe you gave 50%, right? You gave it as much as you could. That compounds. And I think these action steps that we were talking about today, I'm gonna go home and I'm already home, but I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do it myself, as well. Especially number one, the three principles that guide my decisions. But back to you, Chris. I kind of cut you off a little bit.
No, it's okay. I was going to give us our closing thoughts, and then I'll have you close us off. But I just want to leave our audience with this: that change isn't the thing that breaks people. That's not the thing that makes you finally say, like, I quit. The thing that breaks people is trying to force certainty when life is completely uncertain. If you continue to stay grounded in who you are and take small, sometimes even minuscule, intentional steps, small changes, even big changes, don't derail your financial life, don't derail your identity, don't derail who you are. In fact, those changes strengthen those things. And with that, Dominic, would you close this out?
Absolutely, guys. Well, if you got something out of this, you would be alive. You'd be sentient, because if you didn't get anything out of this, probably not either of those. Probably just a robot or something. That being said, thank you for listening to today's episode. A lot of absolute gems in today's episode. I hope you guys took a lot of notes. I know I did. I'm going to be going back and listening to this episode again to really get everything I can out of it. But if you would be so kind, we really appreciate it if you did send it to a friend, an enemy, a mother, a father, a son or daughter, anybody who you believe could benefit from this great message today. And we hope that you take what we've talked about today and really implement it into your life and really take action with those action steps, but also everything we talked about in the different points on, why change is so hard. But with that being said, I'm Dom. He's Chris. We're the Fi Guys, and we'll see you guys back here on Monday. Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor. It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.